we're recording. Okay, so you're going to choose an image from over there, something that's colorful. Can you see? Yeah. You had a look on your face like what? Like it wasn't matching what I was saying or something. So you're going to choose an image from over there that you think is interesting. Notice that they're all fairly large sizes. If you already chose a great color image from your the first days of the class, right? If you chose something that's really colorful and gorgeous and you want to do that, that's fine. It just has to be big enough. I mean, this even is a little bit too big. It doesn't even have to be this big. So you take your L shapes and you can reduce the scale of your subject. Figure out what you want to include and what you don't want to include. I want some of that landscape in the background. I could care less about the asphalt in the foreground. You see? Yes. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll take my L shapes once I have them taped together, and I'm going to move them onto the canvas. And with the pencil, I'll do the outline. Right? We've done this before. What's so funny on there? Am I what? Do I have spinach in my teeth? And then you can tape the outside. So this is a piece of canvas paper, and I tape the outside, and I could slice all this off if I want. You know how to do this, right? Then you're going to take a piece of graphite tracing paper. How many people are familiar with this? Hands up. You've used it before. I know a lot of people that have taken classes with me have used this before. Maybe not if you've taken a class with Heidi. I don't know. But I see Heidi. No, that was Sage. Okay, so you're going to position the dark side is the graphite side. There's all graphite on here. And there's a more grayed outside on the other side. And you're going to position that on, so it's going down. The dark side is going down. And then I can grab my image and make sure I'm actually positioning it where I wanted it to be. So I'm going to grab my L shapes again, and I'm going to make sure they stay where I want them to be. So I'm going to use some artist tape and tape it down to the image in two places. Okay. So now I can figure out where the corner of this is and where the corner of this is and position it right at the corner of my tape underneath. Then I can tape the whole thing down again. I'll tape it down on one side over here. And then I can lift it up, put the graphite tracing paper with the dark side down, and then fold it back. Now with the tip of a paintbrush, not with a pencil, because if you use a pencil, you will ruin the image. So I have actually a sighting stick here, and I'm using the blunt edge of the sighting stick. And what I'm going to make some marks. What I'm not trying to do is do an exact outline of everything, but what these marks are going to do is help me know where to position the subject. Now, I don't want this super dark, so I suggest checking underneath. Yep, nice and light. Checking underneath occasionally to make sure the lines you think you're actually drawing are showing up. Do not press super hard, though. If you press too hard, that didn't show up in all minute. If you press too hard, it will be hard to erase, and it might show through your painting later. So I'm putting in the main points. Where's the corners of the windshield, or where's the headlights supposed to fall? I might do a couple of those, but I'm not going to go crazy. Yeah, see, I pressed hard with the circles. Can you see the circles? Not really. No. Not with the lights on, anyway. So I just ripped the paper. Some of this paper is from really old magazines, So it's just not gonna hold up very well. So don't freak out if you end up ruining an image. It's not the end of the world. Okay. So once you have all of that information, you've got a start for your painting. And you can do a monochromatic underpainting. Now here's the challenge. Depending on what colors you plan to use in your painting, that's going to determine what colors you use in your underpainting. I have a few colors here. Oh, please don't get worn out. What I'm going to suggest you do today is a rub-out approach. I'm not going to be able to open this. I did it. So here is a blue tone, a lovely blue tone. This is light ultramarine blue. And this is by Golden Open. If you are doing an orange tone in your image, do you want to start with blue underneath? Why not? It's a complementary color, right? And it's going to turn, when you try to glaze orange on top of blue, it's going to turn what color? Brown. Yeah. It's not the end of the world. None of this stuff is set in stone. Part of what we're learning in doing this glazing and rub-out process is the flexibility inherent in acrylic paint. So you can make mistakes with a glazed painting, and I'll show you more examples after we get started with this. There's lots of fluidity in glazed paintings. I will show you something. So this is another example of a painting that includes some glazing. A lot of this painting is a la prima. But there's one little segment right here that was planned to be glazed. I don't think it's exactly the right color yet. But what happened is this was developed with white. This lightest part of that, like hot pink, like refrigerator magnet. That's what you're looking at. Hot pink refrigerator magnet. And because it got too dark. So white was used, full strength white was used, and then on top of that full strength white, quinacridone magenta was glazed over the top of that. And that's how that color got developed. Some of you have already played with this, and I mentioned it last week. You know how to play with mass tone versus the glazed tonality inside of paint. I think I put it up on the wall over there, that example. So let's get started by just transferring your image onto your paper. And can I remind you about your rags? I saw a couple examples of rags that were kind of scary. Yeah.
May I ask, like, so like that, are you doing it like a certain color, one color?
Yeah, we're gonna, you're gonna choose a color depending on what your object is.
Oh,
So my object is red, so it makes sense to use a warm tone as my underpainting before I glaze on top. So, I think you can see I started to deal with my car in my, oh God, it's not up. Why? Why didn't it go away? I don't know why it didn't stop when I closed it. That's weird. Did that stop? That stopped. Now if I do this, will it go away? Yes. Okay. So I have a lot of red in my painting that I'm working from. A lot of red, a lot of warm tones. There are some greens in there, sure, it's true. But I decided to work with a yellow ochre-ish color, a raw sienna color for my underpainting. And so I put in the paint across the background first, and then I used a rag to pull out those values. I'm not trying to make it perfect back here. It's going to be pretty easy to put in brush strokes, lines, things like that later. But I do want to get a sense of the overall value structure in the scene. So I'm doing a little bit at a time. Grabbing my paint, which is this yellow ochre, mixed with a little bit of red in there. And so I can put it in, I put in a whole chunk at a time, and then I pulled back out the values, the lighter parts that I needed to show. Now there's a bit of the area, the back windshield, that's showing through this part of the car. And so as I'm pulling out the value, I'm trying to pull it out in the direction of that shape that's back there. And it's not a perfect solution, but I'm getting it a little at a time. There's also a highlight on the windshield over here. So I'm getting my rag wet and then dragging it. Wet rag, drag it down. Another little highlight on the windshield. And then there are these windshield wipers that are showing up, and they're thin. So instead of using my finger, I can make a line, get it wet, and make a line with the paintbrush handle. Y'all see what I'm doing here? This is a quick process. That's why I'm suggesting that you do a little bit at a time, along the side of this. If you work with a golden open paint, you will have more open time to make these kinds of changes to the surface. So I'm describing the outer edge of the car right now and the pavement. But what about the car itself? Well, there's a highlight that sits right there. And if the paint dried, and it dried there, I can come back with white later and highlight it before I start glazing on top. So treat the rub out as a two-step process. You're going to get the first layer of light, middle, dark covered on the surface. And then you're going to come back and with white, heighten areas, especially the areas that need to be super white. You're going to really lighten them. Something else I want to show you.